My, oh my, wake the kids, get the neighbors. This is an extravaganza you won't want to miss. Welcome into the Farzy Show, presented by DestinationRetirement.com. Coming to you live at 6 a.m. from the Steven Singer Studios. You want some quarterback trade talk? What? You want some Joel Embiid versus Ben Simmons? What? You want a little Danny Green talking about Ben Simmons and how they need to shake hands with his former teammates? What? Oh, you want some Flyers conversation? We got it all. Taryn Hatcher, Taryn Nicole, she joins the show today to talk a little Flyers and trade value of a one Claude Giroux. Well, let's start it off. We haven't talked football in a while. I gotta scratch this itch, if you will. Colin Cowherd yesterday, who is actually a sports broadcaster that I really appreciate. Sometimes I think he does a good job of like trolling Philadelphia. Other times I think he does a great job of championing Philadelphia's cause. But I'm gonna go ahead and do this. The other day I talked about Monday what I would like to do with the or Tuesday what I would like to do with the Eagles and going forward with the quarterback position. I think the best thing to do right now, and the most likely thing to do right now, is have Jalen Hurts play next year. I've made that clear. I've said that many times. And I'm also really rooting for the guy because I always want to believe, A, that the quarterback in the future is already on your roster. You don't have to do anything else to go get him. He's already here. And the guy's mindset is unbelievable. That's the mindset that I'd want to be here in Philadelphia. I need to see him improve as a quarterback, as we all do, because that's the most important thing. That's the most highly valued currency, talent. So if he has that on the field and he can lead this team to more victories and he can play great and all that, all right, Jalen Hurts, let's party. I am rooting for a guy like that to be able to improve and get better and really take the reins as a starting quarterback and maybe even make it into a Pro Bowl and really lead this team to the playoffs and to a playoff victory. That would be nice. That's what I want to see. I also said that I'm not trading anything more than 2 first-round picks if in the, I think, off chance that the Aaron Rodgers, the Russell Wilson, the Deshaun Watsons of the world after legal troubles would want to come to Philadelphia. In the off chance that anybody would want to come to Philadelphia, I'm not trading anything more than 2 first-round picks. So Colin Cowherd yesterday went on a show, and fine program, and he went out there and he said, the Eagles, oh, man, the Eagles are going to make a trade and Jalen Hurts, and they want to bring in Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson isn't happy in Seattle. If he wants to come to Philadelphia, here's what I'm doing. Eagles have 3 first-round picks. Seattle, you can have them all. And I'm going to give you next year's first-round pick as well. Yeah, that's right. 4 first-round picks and a player, if you want one. I think that was my favorite part. If you want one. Darius Slay, you want Darius Slay? You need a corner out there? You want to reinstitute a little Seattle Legion of Boom? You want a little better defense? Darius Slay's out there now, too. I'm going to just go ahead. I don't like to do this. I don't like to say I speak for fans. I don't like to say that I speak for a city. You guys have your own platforms now. You guys can speak for yourselves. But I'm going to go ahead and take the responsibility here. No. On behalf of all of Philadelphia and Eagles fans everywhere, 4 first-round picks and a player, Darius Slay is the name you mentioned. No. Nope. No. So we're not doing that, but that's what Colin put out there. That's what I saw making its rounds on social media today and yesterday. I know. No, thank you. No, you know what? Just no. Not even a thank you. Just no. Like, what the hell's the matter with you? Anyway, so no. 4 firsts and Darius Slay for Russell Wilson. No. And I love Russell Wilson. Don't get me wrong, but no. All right, moving on. Let's want to address that out of the gate. Let's talk about this for a second. I am looking forward to not so much March 10th, the day that Ben Simmons is supposed to come back to the Wells Fargo Center and play in front of Philadelphia. I'm not just looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the great anticipation. Like, it's not even just right now. It's when we get closer to that date, whether or not Ben Simmons will actually play in that game. And I was having this conversation, as I mentioned the other day, I was having this conversation with some people about Ben Simmons and whether or not he will play in that game. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what, if I had mental health issues, the last thing I'm doing is going to the place where those mental health issues really, the mental health issues flourished. They just took over. I'm not going back to that place. I liken it to a surfer getting bit by a shark. You're not jumping back in the water the next day. Like, that's not happening. Like, give me a minute. Let me wrap my head around it, and then I'll go. Ben Simmons playing that early and that fragile maybe after mental health issues, as he called it, I don't think happens. Danny Green's podcast that he does with his friend Harrison, he got asked point blank about Ben Simmons coming back to Philadelphia and Ben Simmons playing in that game. And I will say this, Harrison asked a very long question and sets it up interestingly. And Danny Green, I want you to listen to this first thing. I got two cuts from this show. And Danny Green's little, you'll hear it, Danny Green's little, Harrison asked a question about Ben Simmons returning March 10th. And you hear Danny Green, before he says anything, and Harrison's still asking the question, Danny Green's like, I'm playing March 10th. like, yeah, that's going to happen. Tell me if you hear that. And then also we'll dissect the rest of it. Here is Danny Green on his Green Room podcast.
On March 10th, he can potentially return to Wells Fargo Center as a member of the Brooklyn Nets, and he could play against you. Mm-hmm. When the game is over, are you shaking hands?
First, let's break that down. Interesting dynamic of how things went down. Interesting dynamic of who went with him. I don't know. I haven't got a chance to talk to those guys yet, but I know they weren't on the most of cordial terms when he was in Philly with Drum and Seth. So I wonder how that relationship is now. I got a chance to talk to them. Now, will we shake hands to start? Probably not. First, I'd be highly surprised if he even plays in that game. I don't know where his health is mentally, physically. I know he had other issues, and we all know that he does not like to play in Philly. So if he does play that game, I'd be highly surprised.
We all know he doesn't like to play in Philly. Yeah, okay. We know what's coming more clear. Because there's a lot to unpack, as Danny Green even says right there. There's a lot to unpack. Danny Green was the guy that told you in Philadelphia, folks, you got to be kinder to Ben. You got to root for Ben. You got to be nicer to Ben. Be good to Ben. And this was at the end of last year that he said that. We were really nice to Ben. We were great to Ben. We cheered a 3 in an exhibition game against the Guangzhou Long Lions. We were phenomenal to Ben. The vast majority of people in Philadelphia, good to Ben Simmons. Occasional booze? Yeah, occasional booze. But everyone gets that. Everybody gets that. It's becoming more clear as to why Danny Green felt like he needed to stick up for Ben Simmons, because he probably thought it was the only way that Ben Simmons was going to come back. And the way they phrased the question in this show is he basically chose not to be your teammate all year. Chose not to be your teammate all year. They didn't bring up mental health issues. I think Danny Green might have just gave it a smattering of it, but it really didn't get into it. Bottom line is he doesn't want to play in Philadelphia. Bottom line is he doesn't like to play in Philadelphia. From Danny Green's lips to our ears, that's just the way it broke down with Ben Simmons. And to say that the guys that he got traded with, he wasn't cordial with? What? I mean, Andre Drummond wasn't here last year when Ben Simmons was actually playing for the Sixers. Seth Curry was obviously here. He wasn't cordial with Seth Curry? What? I mean, here we did see almost immediately, and I joked about it, Ben Simmons sitting on the bench in Brooklyn with Andre Drummond, and those two laughing it up a little bit. And I had said, oh, hey, Ben Simmons probably said to Andre Drummond, hey, thanks for having me on your team. This is great. I'm looking forward to playing with you guys. And Andre Drummond was probably like, dude, I was with you in Philly too, but you weren't there. Oh, that's probably what they were chopping it up and laughing about. But I find it interesting that Danny Green went out of his way to say that he didn't get along more or less with the guys that were traded with him to Brooklyn. Okay, interesting. Ben was also seen yesterday. I know some people were making some comments about this video here of him shooting around a little bit with Kyle Korver as a shooting coach for the Brooklyn Nets. So Ben Simmons is working on his foul shot, which, hey, good for him. The one thing I will say about this is what I've always said. If Ben Simmons becomes a 75% free throw shooter and a consistent mid-range jump shot, if he does those things, okay, fine. It wasn't going to happen here. Zero regret for how the Sixers handled the situation. 100% more anger directed at Ben Simmons for not doing that here. It wasn't going to happen here. He made the decision it wasn't going to happen here. So what am I going to do? Get all angry about it? No, I'm going to say, oh, yeah, you know what? You would actually prove me right if you improved on those things and actually turned yourself into an MVP candidate. But after this whole ordeal, I don't really see it happening. just as I really didn't see it was happening here in Philadelphia. I was hopeful. Oh, maybe this will be what Ben needs, this utter fail, this epic fail in the postseason. Maybe this is what he needs to get that kick in the ass to come back better. I wasn't betting on it, but I was certainly rooting for it. And that could still happen in Brooklyn. I just highly doubt it. You'll be able to, I think, hide a lot more in Brooklyn with Ben Simmons as your point guard as opposed to here, because here you just had Joel Embiid trying to cover up for Ben Simmons' shortcomings offensively speaking. Brooklyn, you'll have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, probably full-time in the not-too-distant future. And then you'll have some other guys coming off the bench, like Patty Mills, for instance. You'll have other guys, Seth Curry already on that starting lineup. You'll have a pretty stacked Joe Harris coming off the bench as well. So you'll have a pretty stacked lineup there in Brooklyn for guys that can certainly put the ball through the hoop. But Ben's shortcomings will be hidden rather well in Brooklyn. But here, I find it also interesting that Danny Green went on to talk about how much he highly doubted Ben Simmons to actually play here in Philadelphia because just how much he doesn't like Philadelphia.
I see it as being a very hectic, playoff-like atmosphere environment to where it may be very rough for him. Depending on how he interacts. And I don't have any ill wills towards the guy. I don't hate him. I don't dislike him. It's just, for me, it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just another being. I waste more energy going on my way to dislike him or spend energy trying to, go on my way to hate him or to do things to him. If he comes up and shows love, I'll say what's up. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of deal I'm on. I'm not the type of guy to not say what's up to people that doesn't say what's up to me.
Bygones are bygones.
That's it. Let bygones be bygones. I understand you have mental health issues. I understand you don't want to play where you want to play. Whatever it is, you did what you need to do, make better for you in your life. That's cool. Do I think you'd handle it better? For sure. Because, we had nothing against you as teammates, still have nothing against you. But it all depends on how that game goes, how he interacts in that game, how well he plays, or how cleanly or non-cleanly he or us plays against each other is going to determine how we shake hands. But I said I highly doubt he plays in that game. And if he does, I highly doubt he wants to shake hands before or after that game.
So there was a little blurb. You understand your mental health issues, then moved on to the next thing. The implication there that he gives out, let's see if you want to play a little dirty, basically, is what he's saying. That's how clean you want to play in that game. Are we expecting cheap shots now, March 10th, if Ben Simmons does play in that game? Good God. I mean, I know a lot of people have made the point about how many top 3 picks the city of Philadelphia has had since, 2015? And I know Mickey Moniak is the only one that's standing still. Carson Wentz is gone. Markelle Fultz is gone. Carson Wentz is gone. All that stuff. But when you look at this right now in Philadelphia, could it have gone any worse? Really, in all honesty, yes, it could have. We don't have Joel Embiid. There you go. But Ben Simmons was this close. I honestly believe, the most basic skill set of an athlete, of a basketball player, the most basic skill set of a basketball player, he wanted nothing to do with shooting. I never went out in my driveway. I was like, oh, man, I can't wait to pick a spot out on the wall and just consistently pass it to that spot on the wall, and I'll be the best facilitator. No, I went out and started shooting hoops. I went out there, put my milkman hat on, got to the foul line and started practicing my free throws. It's amazing. And if Ben Simmons shoots a basketball, we're not talking about this. We're talking about how great Ben Simmons is with Joel Embiid and how great the future of the Sixers look. That's what we're talking about. It's amazing. And literally, that's not at all what we're talking about. Instead, we're talking about Ben Simmons being traded, and the best part about it, James Harden being a member of the 76ers. Tomorrow, happy Harden days, everyone. Tomorrow, your Harden days start. Tomorrow. Been waiting all week just to say tomorrow. Then I'll be waiting all day to say today, because that's what we get to say tomorrow when we open up the show. That's right. Tomorrow, James Harden plays. No matter what you want to say about Ben Simmons, about how you want to reflect upon it, no matter how much you want to opine about what's happened with Ben Simmons, the excitement is now centered around James Harden and how he's going to play with Joel Embiid. And before we get into that a little bit more, I meant to play this for you guys yesterday. I don't know why I didn't, probably because I'm an idiot. But Ben Simmons and his departure. If you remember at his press conference, Malika Andrews, who works for ESPN, but you know her from this show for being an angel that the Lord sent to us to talk to us about basketball. She is awesome. And she caught it with Ben Simmons and asked, hey, who'd you talk to when you left? And he rattled off a bunch of names. None of them were Daryl Morey or Joel Embiid, mind you. So Malika Andrews then catches up with Joel Embiid and asks him the same question. When was the last time you guys spoke? Ben said he didn't speak right before the trade. When was the last time you spoke? And here's how Joel Embiid answered that question to the angel sent to us from heaven to talk to us about basketball, Malika Andrews.
Yeah, I'll say a week or two before the trade deadline. He's a great player, and I think, whatever he's going to add to Brooklyn, he's going to take him to another level too. I did a lot of chasing around, try to get him back and, try to, make him feel comfortable again. It was time, I didn't care anymore.
I'm sorry, I'm just so distracted by her beauty. Anyway, and her amazing sports knowledge. Anyway, I had to do a lot of chasing around with Ben Simmons. Yeah, that's exhausting. It's like, I'm not even talking about like a romantic relationship, but have you ever like really tried to make something work? Like maybe you were put in a situation where you had to work with somebody else. Let's go back to our old school projects. All right, you got to work with somebody in the class that you didn't like. Oh, you got to really pull teeth to get something out of this kid. I'm sure that's how Joel Embiid felt by trying to get something done with Ben Simmons. And think about this for a second. I can't, for the life of me, get over the idea that Joel Embiid, we have seen become leaps and bounds better than he was from his first year playing in the NBA to right now. I can't get over, for the life of me, Giannis Antetokounmpo getting leaps and bounds better than what he was when he came into the league and turning himself into a two-time MVP. I can't get over the idea of Matisse Thybulle becoming such a great defender from day one. He was billed as a great defender. He turned himself into a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in 3 years. I can't get over Tyrese Maxey in 2 years improving like this. And yet we look at Ben Simmons. Where's the improvement? I always describe it as he's a guy who came in a fringe all-star, made himself an all-star. The bare minimum, made himself an all-star. Fringe all-star, made himself an all-star as a number 1 overall pick. And this is what then he just didn't want to get any better. At least not here in Philadelphia, which is where it would have never happened. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind as they watch anything Ben Simmons does in the not too distant future. If he does greatly improve, it wasn't going to happen here in Philadelphia. That's unfortunate. But James Harden's a 76er. One of the things that Joel Embiid also got into with Angel sent to us from heaven, talking to us about basketball, Malika Andrews, was James Harden's abilities and how he became a playmaker, more so a playmaker than he ever had before when he was with Brooklyn, because he was really charged with running a lot of the offense and being a playmaker in that regard, more so than he was in Houston. In Houston, he was the play. He wasn't necessarily the playmaker. He was the play. So now coming here to Philadelphia with him running point guard, there's going to be a little feeling out process between him and Joel Embiid. But one of the things Embiid got into yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, with Malika Andrews was how they're going to run this offense together and how they're going to look for James Harden to be the guy that will be that playmaker, that guy that can set up other teammates. And one of the other things you got to keep in mind with James Harden is how much of a triple-double threat he can be. Not necessarily notching up the triple-doubles left and right, but when you're talking about a guy who can get you 8 rebounds and a guy who can get you 7 to 8 assists a game, that's a bit of a threat. So when it comes to being the playmaker here in Philadelphia, I'm really interested to see how Joel Embiid's game changes and how James Harden's game changes to play well with one another. Not a lot has to be done. One thing I'd like to see from Joel Embiid is more of the pick and roll where he actually goes to the basket and not pick and pop, so to speak. That's what I want to see from Joel Embiid. From James Harden, what I want to see him continuing to be the same guy that he was in Brooklyn with just a slightly better shooting percentage. That's what I want to see from James Harden as this year goes on and as these two figure out how to play with one another before they go into the postseason. One last thing, actually 2 things that I want to get into from Danny Green's podcast that I haven't seen out there in the mainstream media. I haven't seen too many people write about or even tweet about. One has to do with Joel Embiid. And Danny Green talked about his respect for Joel Embiid and why he was an all-star by saying that anything the team needs, Joel Embiid is not the type of guy to go out and say, hey, Danny Green, we need this, so you do that. He's not the type of guy to go to Tyrese Maxey and go, we need this, so you do that. He's not that guy. He's the guy that says, we need a better jump shooter, I'll be that jump shooter. We need somebody to shoot threes, I'll be a 40% three-point shooter. We need somebody to be good at free throw shooting, I'll be an 85% free throw shooter. We need somebody to be out there running the offense, I'll bring the ball up. And probably one of the most drastic differences from last year to this year is Joel Embiid bringing the ball up. Now, why is that? Because you don't have a true point guard. Now, as much as I love Tyrese Maxey, he's not a true point guard. Hopefully he develops those instincts that a point guard should when it comes to being a playmaker, and hopefully having James Harden here next to him will help that maturation process of Tyrese Maxey. But when it comes to just Joel Embiid, what I have seen him do this year is bring the ball up and try to run the offense because you haven't had Ben Simmons. And I never even thought about it like that, where certain athletes will look to other people on the team being like, we don't have this anymore, so you got to be that. I'll do it. Like, that is, I think, it can be taken out of context to the point of, oh, that's just a guy being selfish. And I don't think that's the case at all, because you see him try to coach up Tyrese Maxey. You see him try to encourage Matisse Thybulle. You see his leadership role time and time again throughout the season on the floor and in the locker room as well, or at least in his press conferences. That's what you want to see from a leader. Not just him doing the things on the court, but him encouraging others to do more of what they do well on the court as well. James Harden's now bringing that same leadership role here to Philadelphia. And the one thing that I will say that we could definitely put as a feather in our cap as to why this is going to work out in Philadelphia when it didn't work out to fruition in terms of winning a championship in Houston, and it didn't work out certainly in Brooklyn, but why it could work out here is that James Harden really wants to be here. Above all else, he really wants to be here. This is his own choosing. When it's your own choosing and you make it obvious that it was your number one spot, the place you wanted to be, then you take responsibility. You take a lot more responsibility for it because there's no excuses in the book. Even if Brooklyn was number 2, even if they were a close number 2 for James Harden after he left Houston, well, this wasn't even my top choice, so whatever happens, happens. But the minute you get to your top choice, the minute you acknowledge that it was your top choice, is the minute you assume a lot more responsibility than you would anywhere else. Because if it doesn't work out, then you were wrong. And that makes you look very, very bad. The other thing from the press conference, from the Green podcast, Inside the Green Room, Danny Green's podcast, was the expectation. The expectation for Danny Green is at least an Eastern Conference final, at least a competitive, to really sum it up, the way they refer to it on the show, a competitive Eastern Conference final. Game 6, Game 7. If they don't do that, then this whole thing will be a disappointment and a failure. But a competitive Eastern Conference final is what they are expecting, at least what Danny Green is expecting from the 76ers team. And I'm here for it. By the way, I didn't mention this yesterday also. Willie Cauley-Stein, yeah, come on down, man. All you got to do is get backup minutes. I'm all for it, brother. Welcome to Philadelphia. Can't wait to see you on the court. A lot of things going on here in the chat, and I appreciate you guys doing that. So we'll get to the chat in just a second. We'll get to my good friend Taryn Hatcher coming up as well. He's going to talk to us about some Flyers conversation, and that's what I got for you. Yeah, I just want to make sure I hit all the points I got from the podcast. There it is. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about my good friend Mike Seibert. This guy is nothing short of amazing. What this guy brings to the table is something that we have to admire, as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely admire. And I don't know why my computer is now acting up, being a big... There we go. Anyway, Mike Seibert's awesome. Reach out to him, destinationretirement.com. Destinationretirement.com. Mike Seibert is a retirement income certified professional. He's a financial advisor for Eagle and Sixers fans only, like I've been telling you. His firm, Destination Retirement LLC, destinationretirement.com, is a full-service planning firm and a partner of 1847 Financial. Mike helps clients with the accumulation years and distribution years. What's the difference? I didn't know prior to knowing Mike. Well, I'll tell you what the difference is. A lot. Have you figured out how much you want to spend per month when you retire? How much you'll need per month when you retire? How much your retirement income would look, would you need guaranteed through retirement? Do you want to protect any assets from downside market risk? And do you have a written plan? If you have questions, he's got answers. And if you have assets over $250,000 or more, Mike will create a written plan to help offset your retirement expenses free of charge using software from Retirement Analyzer. He usually charges just under $2,000, $1,999. So act now. Reach out to Mike at destinationretirement.com. Your plan will show how he can help offset your retirement expenses, what to do in a volatile market, and help minimize taxes as well. With over 30 years of experience, Mike is committed to helping his Sixers fans and Eagles fans get to and through retirement. Not just getting to that first base, but running through it, ladies and gentlemen. You can reach Mike at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035, or visit destinationretirement.com. Destinationretirement.com. Click on the Find Out link at the top of the page and fill out the questionnaire to see how prepared you are for retirement. And you can also sign up for his newsletter as well. He'll get back to you and talk to you about how he can help. Go Birds! And as always, play the song. Let me tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Looking to get engaged? Looking for the perfect gift? Just looking for a surprise, beautiful gift? Go to Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia. Steven, for over 40 years, has been in the love business in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and helping people surprise, shock, and just keep that jaw drop when they open up that perfect present from Steven Singer Jewelers. And here's the best thing. Not only is their quality amazing, not only do you get walked through everything by a real jewelry expert standing by at the ready to help you out, you get the perfect price every single time. A lot of people, when it comes to buying a diamond, figure, oh, I got to negotiate, I got to haggle, I got to go in there with my game face on. They put so much pressure on themselves. No. No pressure, no hassle, no haggle. Walk right into Steven Singer Jewelers. You get the perfect price every single time. Oh, what about the discount? What about the promo code? What about the coupon? Whatever. No, don't even need it. Every day's the sale. Every day. Every day you get taken care of with Steven Singer Jewelers, ladies and gentlemen. The other corner of 8th and Walnut. And always remember this, IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. One place, one price. Fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. So do what I do. When it comes to jewelry purchases, my wedding bands, wedding rings, engagement ring, just one, from my lovely wife, Steven Singer Jewelers, who I trust. Always fast and free shipping from Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price. The perfect price every single day at Steven Singer Jewelers. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost embarrassed. I'm almost embarrassed, is what I am. Taryn Hatcher came to NBC Sports Philadelphia right around the time I was becoming full-time at NBC Sports Philadelphia. And I just love her. She's awesome. We always had a lot of fun. If we ever worked on anything together, we always had a lot of fun. We've kept in touch now that we don't work together. And I couldn't be happier for her and her success. Doing flyers pre and post and intermission as well. She is one of my favorite people. She's just fantastic. And I know there's been a lot of requests for Taryn Hatcher on the show. So I'm glad we finally are able to fulfill that. Without further ado, let's jump on our Rothman Orthopaedics gas line and catch up with our good friend, Taryn Hatcher. And joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, one of my favorite humans on the planet. You know her from Flyers pre, post, intermission, live from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Taryn Nicole Hatcher. Taryn Nicole, how are you?
I'm good, Marc Farzetta. How are you? How you doing?
How is your mom? How is your lovely mother?
Connie is great. Dad is retired, so now Connie is jealous because Connie is not yet retired. And Dad sits home and he golfs, and it's been very warm in February, so he's very happy because he can go golf, which makes my mom happy because now he's happy, but also she's jealous. So also, I do think she misses your voice in the morning because it was, she watches me. I don't think she hears anything I say, but she would listen to you in the morning and then would like text me things about sports. And I'm like, where did you get this from? Always, it was either Marc Farzetta or Natalie Eganoff. So
you surround yourself with some great people. I will say that, Natalie included.
I like them. You included. I've put good people in my life, and Marc, you're one of them.
God, you know what? You're just too damn kind. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I love the pink hoodie. That is just fantastic.
Where's that? I showed you beforehand, but I got shorts to match. Actually, I bought them on separate occasions, so clearly neon pink is just like my vibe. And I'm hoping it'll distract from the fact that I have on no makeup and wet hair because I just got back from a workout class, did a podcast, hopped on here, and honestly, this is all the effort I can put forth.
You look great. Now you don't even need makeup. You got nothing to make up for, young lady. How about that?
It's dimly lit in here.
The lighting. Exactly. So why keep it so damn dark in here? Taryn, Nicole, and I'm probably going to call you Taryn, Nicole throughout. However, I don't know what to make. I mean, growing up, and you've been a Flyers fan your whole life. You know the deal. Mm-hmm. We always used to say like, oh, this Flyers team needs to give effort. Like, I honestly don't think effort is the problem with this team. They're just not good enough, unfortunately. 15 wins. Yeah, 15 wins as we sit here. The next play Saturday. What do you make of this Flyer season so far?
It's just, no one wants to hear this. They're just so decimated by injuries to so many important players that, again, like they played the Penguins hard for, I would say, 2 periods and like 13 minutes. The Penguins are at the top of the division. They played Carolina, who's one of the best teams in the league, very hard for an entire game, lost in overtime. And then they played a St. Louis team that's also really, really good out west, and they played them pretty hard. I know the score says 4-1, but there were 2 empty net goals. That was a 2-1 game. And that's the thing that's really hard, is that the effort is clearly there. The guys clearly care. The process is good and getting better in most games. It's just, we're talking about like a team that's half AHL players right now, some of whom you really didn't think you were going to call up often, if at all, this season. And that's like your third liners. They're not even like a complimentary guy on your fourth line. They're like playing third and fourth line now. They're your whole bottom 6. And those guys are efforting and they're working their butts off. I mean, Jerry Mayhew is like the story of the month of February. But it's hard to win in the NHL, period. Hockey is a crazy sport. But it's very hard to win when you're this decimated by injuries. And I got to interview Craig Berube before yesterday's game, and off camera we were talking about it, and he was just like, I don't know that I've seen an injury report like that in a long time, because it's literally, it's like this long on the media thing every time. And usually it's 2-3 guys, maybe. It's been like 11 people for a lot of games. And it's not like 11 random guys. It's Sean Couturier, Kevin Hayes, Ryan Ellis, Joel Farabee. Like, it's top name guys. It's just tough. It's bad breaks left and right. And I think the good news is that just getting all of those players back and healthy next season drastically improves your team for next season. But it doesn't help right now, so nobody wants to hear it, which I understand. And now it's just, I think, probably gut check time. If you want to pull out wins, it's a lot of like, let's just figure out how to do it and will ourselves to win, which is a lot easier said than done, Mark. So we'll see what happens.
I agree with everything you said. And yes, it's a hard thing to admit, but yeah, you have to acknowledge the injuries and how big the injuries have been for this team. But when you look at a 15-win team, when you look at a team that is, the 6th worst team in the entire NHL right now in terms of point total, you already start turning the page to next year. And I'll ask you about Claude Giroux in just a second. But right now, when it comes to something...
What do you have going on over there? Oh, my God. Mark is just as popular as ever, guys.
You know what that was? No, you know what? I'm not even kidding. No, it wasn't anybody.
Oh.
It was this app, and I don't know how to turn it off. It's for the newborn. It's like you have to feed the kid now. I've never needed it. It's gone off at really weird times, and it just went off. We just fed the kid. Leo's doing fine. We're good. Okay, good. But that's what that was.
Okay, good. Because Leo looks gushy and adorable, but I want to make sure he continues to look gushy and adorable, and sustenance is important in that.
I did.
You have 2 kids, I have none, so you know more than me.
I did. I had this loaded just for Taryn, personal reasons, just so she could see him. But yeah, that's him now. That's him.
I need I need a matching shirt that says "Center of Attention." Actually, I have a good dump. I want to see if I can get one. There's a onesie that says "Dump and Change" on it that I get for all my pregnant friends. I should have got one for you. I'll get one for you.
That is phenomenal. I love that.
Yeah,
absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my favorite baby gift I've ever found. And some of my friends don't get it at all because they really don't care about my career even a little bit, which is great. But like, I give it to them, and they're like, "Why would you put that on a shirt?" And I'm like, "You could watch one hockey game for me, just one."
Just one hockey game. Well, here's what I was before I was like, "Hey, go feed your kid, moron." Anyway, here's what I was asking: So as bad as it's been this year, with as bad as the Flyers have been, people are starting to turn the page to next year. Do you see next year being a total rebuild, assuming Claude Giroux gets traded at the deadline? How do you see like this team trying to turn it around within the next year?
Again, I know no one wants to hear this from me. I don't think you have to do a total rebuild. I don't think that's really necessary. I think you get Kevin Hayes back, you get Sean Couturier back, you get Ryan Ellis healthy and playing, you get Joel Farabee back. I think that changes the complexion of your team already. I think that rebuilds your team in a sense. And Sean Couturier wasn't right the entire beginning part of the season. Al and I and Scott, we all thought that something looks off. I don't know if that's true. Like we haven't gotten to speak to him since he went out with the back injury, but he got back surgery. So I don't know how long that was ailing him, but I didn't think he looked like himself all season. To get the true Sean Couturier back, all those guys back, I think it changed your team a lot. If you trade Claude Giroux at the deadline, I think you'd ideally like to get someone, I know we're going to talk about that, but get someone immediately as well as some prospects or as well as some picks. I know that Chuck Fletcher has said he wants top end talent. The path of least resistance to getting top end talent is the draft. That being said, you also generally have to wait for those guys to develop at least a little bit. And the Flyers have had really good prospect pools for years. And sometimes I think scouting is one of the most wishy-washy jobs you can have because you just don't know what a player is going to do themselves. So I personally think you get an automatic partial rebuild just by getting healthy. And then I think you do want to try to get some young guys in the draft next season for whoever you choose to trade, whether I see Giroux going, there's question marks about Ristolainen, there's question marks about Justin Braun, there's question marks about Martin Jones, who has played very well as a goaltender for the Flyers this season. There's a lot of pieces they could deal to a lot of places. So it's just a matter of what they get back immediately and what they get back in terms of draft picks or prospects. But no, I don't see like people who are like burn it down to the ground and start all over again. Like I just don't. I'm sorry, I don't. I haven't even mentioned Joel Farabee. Like get Joel Farabee back. That's a few goals in the past month alone. So
no, you remembered him. You remembered him.
Oh,
you
I
got
did?
him.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
There's just so many. It's hard to keep track.
No, I absolutely get it. So let's talk about the subject at hand here with Claude Giroux. And I saw your interview. It's on the NBC Sports Philadelphia's YouTube page. For people that haven't seen it, Taryn sat down with Claude Giroux himself, and you talked about the frustration. He talked about the frustration this season has had, as well as the extra added pressure, being that at any moment before the trade deadline, he could be moved. Do you see him being traded? If so, is there a second round pick? Is there a first round? What do you see the Flyers getting in return?
I mean, I think I'm leaning toward yes. It's totally up to him. So he has that no move clause. But I would imagine I asked Jonesy about it, and Jonesy said, there is something to, it's got to be hard when you're the captain, when you're specifically Claude Giroux, who's had as much discussion around him at times as like the Eagles quarterbacks, in terms of scrutiny and the way he leads. And I see behind the scenes. I don't think people really know how he leads. You hear nothing but rave reviews from his teammates. And like, I'm talking about in the tunnel, the stuff that isn't being said to me, the things that I hear. So I think I would guess that he'll waive the no move clause. That would be my guess, because I do think he's 34. I think he deserves to win a cup. I think he wants to win a cup. He's only gotten better over the past few years since he came back from that abdominal surgery. I think it'd be interesting to see what he could do with Colorado. That seems to be the big name here. In terms of return, I don't know what Chuck can get. I think you could feasibly ask a lot, especially if, Minnesota gets really aggressive. That's one of the other landing spots. And there's been talk about Minnesota getting aggressive to get Claude Giroux. That heats up the market. But I think if you're Chuck, you probably want someone now as well as a pick. That would be my assumption. But it's interesting because there's quite a few teams. The separation between the haves and the have-nots in the NHL this year is big, which means there's a lot of teams that are not close to a playoff team, but there's a lot of teams that aren't just playoff teams. They're cup contending teams. And every cup contending team wants the edge. And there is a lot of them this year. So it heats up the market a little bit in terms of what you can get when there's so many people in the pool trying to get him. and he can play wing, he can play center. So I would like to see him go for someone who can play now as well as a pick. I'd almost like that pick to be in the next draft, because that draft is supposedly stronger. But we'll see what happens. Chuck made so many moves this summer that I didn't see coming. So it's hard to predict what he's going to do here.
Do you think Mike Yeo has done anything to come back next year as the full-time head coach, remove the interim tag?
I think Mike's a great coach. I think Mike's a great person. I think that Mike's honestly done a great job given the circumstances, which I know people are going to just lambast me for saying, but I do, like, he's been put in an incredibly impossible situation. I don't know. I would love to see Mike come back, even if it's in an assistant coach role. He's beloved as an assistant coach, like really, really well liked by the guys as an assistant coach. And I'm talking about, like, I can't share some of the stuff because some of the stuff I know is off the record, but like the way he chooses to run day to day, the way he chooses to run film, the way he chooses to do things, people like. And you still do that as an assistant coach. He did it when he was in charge of the defensemen before. But I don't know if, from a business standpoint, what Comcast Spectacor is going to want to do as well, because realistically, there's all professional sports, and we all know this. There's two sides to it. There is the sports side where you want to win, and there's also the entertainment business side where they want butts and seats. And sometimes butts and seats is like, all right, well, if they couldn't turn things around last year, why should we buy our season tickets this year if you're not going to go get, when people hear the Tortorellas or the Tockets of the world or whatever. So it's hard to know what's going to happen, because there's a certain amount of business to it as well that's really hard to figure out. But I would love to see Mike stay here in some capacity, because truly, when I tell you he is a good coach, he is a good coach. Those guys, I know we already talked about this, they hung with 3 very good teams in the league when they probably didn't have business doing so. And part of that is the way that they're coached and the way that he's running the team and the things he's saying to the players. And even Mike goes, it's business of results, and we're not getting results, and I'm not happy with it. But to hang with the Penguins and the Capitals and the Canes and the Blues on back-to-back days with a half an AHL team is no small feat. So I like Mike, but I don't know what will happen there. Understood.
No, it hasn't been exactly different for the Flyers to not go after a big name to put some butts in seats. I totally agree with you on that. One thing, and this is down the line, and it's kind of a hypothetical because it's all based on Claude Giroux, but if he is traded, is there any conversation, or do you have any idea who would, I'll ask you the most cliche question, get the C if Claude Giroux weren't to have it anymore by trade?
It's really interesting because the heir apparent has been Sean Couturier for forever, and Sean Couturier is out. So I really don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know, because in my mind, it would go Couturier, probably Hayes is in that conversation. Probably Provorov would typically be in that conversation. And this year, it's Provy's obviously still available, but I wonder about, would you give it to Cam Atkinson, because he's been kind of a constant producer for the team, and he's someone you want to see be a leader in the future. And then maybe next year you give to Couturier, give Atkinson an alternate captain, give him an A. But I don't know. Al and I were talking about this the other day, and we were just going down the list of names, and Al was kind of joking, and he goes, "You just give it to Jerry Mayhew?" Like, do you give it to Jerry Mayhew? The way you played through February?
Right, yeah, really.
But no, I genuinely, I'm as interested to see what happens there as anyone else, because Provorov's kind of had a rough season. They've put a lot on his shoulders. He plays a ton of ice time. And I think it's kind of, they've asked maybe a little bit too much of him at this point. So I wonder if you give him the C as kind of a reward for putting so much weight on his shoulders, or if you don't give him the C because he's also already gotten so much pressure on his back that adds to it. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Atkinson, though. That would probably be, if Baraby's back, I don't know. Joel's really young. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. All that's to say, I have no idea.
All right. Well, with this conversation with Al, was that before or after he referenced a crossbow?
Dude, I don't even know. Al says something weird every night. Al says something weird every night.
Hey.
He tried to convince me that Mormonism was founded in Palmyra, New Jersey for like 2 full games. And I Googled it, confirmed it was not. And he's like, no, I'm right.
No, just the fact that you Googled it means he won and he now has joy. That's it. That's how he gets joy. I love the guy, but that's how he obtains joy.
I'm trying to
don't
think
even
like the
try.
last weird thing. There's so many. He doesn't like cheese. He's an Italian who doesn't like cheese.
He's the most Menegon Italian person I've ever met in my entire life.
He likes like chicken salad that's just chicken and mayo, like no salt, no pepper.
Yeah.
Like
he only gets chicken parm at a restaurant. That's the only thing he gets.
Well, so then Mark, I got to tell you, every single night it's so funny too. It's like a little kid like coming home from school, getting their after school treat. Like we get done the show and he's like, time to go to Wawa and get my tomato bisque soup. And he's so excited for Wawa tomato bisque soup. It makes his day every day. It makes me laugh. He's such a simple man of simple pleasures in life. It's hilarious.
I worked next to that man for the better part of 13 years. The only thing I've ever seen him eat was a plain bagel with butter. Excuse me, plain bagel with butter. That's it. That's it.
It's insane. And his mom hates it because she's from like below the butter line, I think, in Italy. And so they use oil instead of like, I know up in north they use butter more, and down south they use oil more. And there's like a whole thing there. But then Al just doesn't like food that tastes like things, so he just wants butter noodles. Like, I just can't.
Yeah, I think the rule is that if you enjoy butter, you're a fascist. I'm pretty sure those are the rules in Italy. I think that's how it's played out. I know. I'm just saying. I think I know the rules pretty well. But Taryn, Nicole, I'd like to play Fast Five with you if you would indulge me.
I would love to play Fast Five.
All right, let me bring the band here. Let me bring in the band. Oh, there we go. Now it's a party. Yeah. All right. All right, here we go. First question. Best job before this job. Best job before this job.
Worst job was being a waitress at Friendly's. Best job would be being a waitress at Chickies and Pete's, because I would
You'd clean up.
I was horrible at it, but I did make good money.
Wait, you were actually a waitress at Chickies and Pete's?
I was. The one in Bordentown, though.
Not
one of the OGs.
Yeah.
It's close to Rutgers.
Okay, yeah, I don't cross the river. Anyway, question number 2. Go-to fast food place.
So, Chipotle is not fast food. I know
Right.
it's like fast casual. Chipotle would be my go-to. I don't eat meat, so it's hard for fast food, but probably Chick-fil-A for the fries with Polynesian sauce, which, by the way, is not Polynesian even a little bit. So, and I was very good friends. I brought when I lived in Hawaii, we had a work trip to Utah. I brought one of my friends, Kainoa, who is Hawaiian, had never heard of Polynesian sauce, to a Chick-fil-A to try Polynesian sauce, and he tried it. And he goes, this is delicious, but this is like maple syrup with ketchup and barbecue sauce. And it doesn't at all. So,
Copy. First date deal breaker. On a first date, this is the deal breaker. What is it?
as a former waitress, if you are rude to a waiter, a valet person, anyone in customer service, you are cut off for life. Arrivederci.
Oh, listen to you. Beautiful. Favorite city to travel to? You're very cultured. Absolutely. Favorite city to travel to?
Honolulu. E como mai.
I freaking miss you. Question number 5. What will make Taryn Nicole beep her horn in traffic?
Literally any minor inconvenience. If you throw your blinkers on, if you throw your blinkers on and get out of your car, I will swipe the door right off the side of the car if you open it. I swear to God. I will honk and I will yell at you. If you don't use your directional signal, I will yell at you. If that light turns green, I wait. I don't do the immediate honk, but if that light turns green and you're not in the zone, at some point you might get honked at.
The downbeat. You wait for the downbeat.
Yeah.
That's right. No movement. I'm with you there. Yeah. I'm with you there. Well, no Uber driver after watching this will get in front of you. All right, you already said it, but it's a bonus question anyway. Question number 6. Can you just simply say the name of the state in which you worked for so many years? That's an island.
Hawaii.
Love it. Absolutely love
That's
it.
how you say it.
That's how you say. I try to say. I watched the show Meat Eater, and they just did a couple episodes in Hawaii, and they're all saying it like that. And I'm like, if I could just master it like Taryn, then I would be a better person.
Well, when you are a haole girl who goes on a television station and delivers people the news, you better figure it out.
You better figure it out.
Yeah, we went. My boyfriend used to give me crap about it all the time, and we went last summer, and then other people actually said it. And he was like, yeah, I know that's how you say it, but it was just always funny to hear you say it to people who like think you're nuts. So Hawaii, if you say Hawaii or Hawaii, it's fine, but I will never say it that way.
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Is it like a V?
Or Hawaii.
Hawaii.
You can say the V. That's like a very Hawaiian thing to do. I don't do it because I'm not Hawaiian, but Hawaii is technically how you say it. I say Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Just like you're choking on the second I. Hawaii.
Copy that. Ladies and gentlemen, you know where you love her. The best part of the Flyers broadcast, if you ask me, Taryn Hatcher, ladies and gentlemen. Taryn, thank you so much. Appreciate you joining me here on the Farzy Show.
Thanks for having me, Mark. This was fun.
Absolutely. Taryn Nicole Hatcher joining me on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. You guys in the comments. Thirsty SOBs, the lot of you. How you guys talk about Taryn is how I talk about Malika Andrews. That's how you guys talk about Taryn. But no, she's awesome. And when she had when she logged on and everything, and I saw she was in the hoodie, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna love this. But anyway, she's great, and we had a lot of fun, and we still have a lot of fun, and great catching up. No current boyfriend, sorry. I've met him a couple times. Great dude, cool guy. Like a lot of times, I feel dudes like women get the bad rap for being the jealous type, like not liking if they like a guy or think he's handsome or cute or whatever, and they see the lady, they're like, oh, that, and they get catty. Like you guys get the bad rep because you're not the only ones that do that, ladies. Men do it too. If dudes, a lot of dudes, if they see a girl that they like and then they see she's with some other guy, like a lot of guys, probably a douchebag, something like that. No. It's not just the ladies. Guys can get catty too. I don't know what you would call it, but catty. Let's just use the word catty. I've met the man. Very nice man. I enjoyed our conversation. Met 2 or 3 times, I think it is. But guys tend to do that as well. And women, it's not just you. It can be us too. And evidence is our chat. And we'll get into that in our chat check a little bit later on. Julian, I just saw your comment. We'll get to that in the chat check in a second. But let me tell you, Rothman Orthopaedics brings us our fine guest line each and every day. Maybe your knee gave out. Maybe you tweaked your back. Maybe you popped your shoulder like I did. We'll talk to the good people of Rothman Orthopaedics at rothmanortho.com. And guess what? They'll get you back to being you. Back to running, walking, playing, everything at Rothman Orthopaedics. Now with the Rothman approach to orthopedics, it's here to get you back to being you. Running, walking, working, playing, everything that you did before the injury, Rothman Orthopaedics will do what they can to get you back to doing exactly what you love to do. RothmanOrtho.com. Check out RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and 76ers. How about the people of WinView? Basketball returns tonight. Sixers return tomorrow, Friday. So make sure you guys check all that out and make sure you get involved in all the action with WinView. Download the WinView app right now to your phone and have yourself a good time with WinView. If you have that friend or family member who think they know everything about sports, challenge them to a WinView contest. You can beat them, you get bragging rights, and you can win yourself some money. And that's what we all love, right? Money. You can win real money prizes for making predictions on the games that you love so much with the great people of WinView. It's not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who knows more about sports while putting some money in your back pocket as well? So download the WinView app right now to your phone and have yourself a good time. How about the people? The amazing people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs, phlsportsnation.com. Tonight, one of the things you can look at for WinView, to go back to that for WinView, I like Jason Tatum's over, saw it going off at 22.5. I like him hitting his over tonight as they got the Nets at 7:30. It's a TNT game tonight. A lot of games on the slate tonight, as a matter of fact. So make sure you guys check that out on the WinView app. All right, you thirsty bastards. Let's get into our chat check, ladies and gentlemen. Time for our chat check. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Mally. Kevin again. Dan. Mally. Colin Cowherd smoking that devil's grass. Is that a form of marijuana? Anyway, Evan just says, yes, Taryn. Thirst trap number 1. Darian, I'm back even after learning everything yesterday. What? I'm back even. Oh, Darian, yes, thank you. Welcome in. Dante, well, hello again. Thomas, what's going Thomas just says, Taryn. Brian, what's going on, Brian? Sean Gillespie? Sean, what's happening? Can't stand Ben Simmons, says Dan Schwartz. Can't stand Putin. Ooh. So, I don't do a really good job of following world affairs. However, I told you guys about Greatest Sports Legends. The sound engineer on our shoot, on our final day, was a guy named Robert. Cool dude, great guy, had a really thick accent. And it's funny, you know, I never thought about it with people with accents, that it could be annoying as hell. Oh, where are you from? I have an uncle who's from Hungary, and he told me that he would get pissed off. He would tell me that he'd pissed off that people kept on asking where he was from. Hey, where are you from? And he'd be like, Ambler. And they're like, no, where are you from? And he's like, Ambler. Anyway, that's where I first kind of realized that it's kind of annoying when you continue to ask people where they're from. But anyway, this guy had a really thick accent, and I thought it was Polish. And you guys, I've told you before, my mom's Polish, Polish American. And so I said, hey man, I know this is probably annoying, but can I ask where you're from? And he's like, Poland. And I'm like, hey, jak się masz? You know, people are always blown away when a Farzetta says something in Polish. But anyway, anyway, we hit it up. Really nice guy. And I told him how I wanted to go there. I haven't been there yet, but I got to go. And I told my mom that I wanted to take her, or I wanted to get her to Poland. And she was like, I really don't have a lot of interest. I'm like, what the hell? Why not? Anyway, and he's like, oh, you should. So this is where the story comes in. And he goes, oh, you should definitely go to Poland, you know, before it's Russia. And I was just like, oh, damn. And I knew that there was the conflict, and I didn't know things escalated to the point, obviously, that they did yesterday, and that was before the conversation, but whatever. So, you know, prayers, everybody in the Ukraine and everything going over there, because that's some messed up stuff. But I get you're equating it to Ben Simmons. Sorry. All right. Anyway, we're all laughing. April, good morning. Let's see here. Sean is in agreement that they'd be surprised that Ben Simmons would play on March 10th. I'm there with you. It's going to be called pulling a Ben from now on. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, Zion actively trying to leave New Orleans. I believe PJ's putting that in the Farzy chat right there. I find that wild, man. Like, I hate when, and Kobe did this too, because he got drafted by the Hornets, of course, and was like, yeah, I want to play for LA. Go to hell. So I hate when guys that are getting drafted and they're realizing their dream of playing in the NBA, and they're like, yeah, but not there. If you ever want to know how much someone's perspective can change. And this is why the greatest, if I could give my kids any gift, I would give them the gift of a great perspective. Anything. Oh, and food. I would feed them occasionally. But after that, there would definitely be a great perspective. But when it comes to that, you dream about being in the NBA as a kid. You dream about being good enough to be in the NBA. You dream about getting into the NBA. And then right before you're about to actually achieve that dream and how great that would be, and the doors that would open for your family, especially if you come from very humble beginnings, and how great it is to play a game for your career and your life, and you're set for all eternity. And then you're like, yeah, but I don't want to do it in New Orleans. How much your perspective can change is amazing. My man Bob Cooney used to tell me it's amazing what you can get used to, and I'm like that's exactly what rings true with Zion. Yeah, I want to play the NBA, but not now. Not there. Fuji, what's up, buddy? Good morning. Can Taryn moonlight as a weather girl? No. Dante, NBC needs to give her a raise for a better. Yeah, something was going on with that connection. That was weird. Darian, what's going on? Darian says he loves Taryn. We all love Taryn. Dan Schwartz, don't need makeup at all. You're beautiful. Scott Hartnell at some point in his life. Probably. Ross just the heart eyes. I see that. Injuries are partly the issue, are part of the issues. Don't worry. Gritty loves us. Dan, that's correct with the eye roll emoji. I know what you're saying. Oh, this is when the alarm went off to feed the kid. I don't know why I've never forgotten to feed my kid. I don't know. And like the alarm will just go off. And I'm like, why is the alarm going off? And I don't know if there's settings on this app that I got to review. Probably. There's no option for the alarm in the settings. Well, whatever. But I literally just fed my kid, and then I came to do the interview, and yeah, that's weird. So yeah. But just know Leo's good. And chill as hell. He's chill AF, that kid. Is Mark criticizing feeding children? That's exactly what I'm doing. Go feed the kid. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Now, this was a comment of comments. Benny says, why would you ever get Mike Sealski as a guest if you could get Taryn? Point taken. And yes, I will be screen grabbing that and sending it to Sealski. He will find it hilarious. Cody, Giroux is the man. Couldn't agree more. Oh, my God, Ethan. I don't even want to say what your love is like for her, but good for you. I'm happy that you've achieved that level of love. I've been screenshotting that. Oh, that's me. I just read my own comment. Oh, my God. To be fair, Sealski would probably agree. April, fine point. Ben Timmons is in here saying, what are you agreeing with? Love at first sight? Is that what you're agreeing with? Al Jaskell says, hey, it's time to feed my living child. Nah, I'll just talk to Taryn. Thanks, Al. Craig, good morning. Ethan, hello again. Farzy pretending to be good at Farzy is pretty good as if Farzy is pretending pretty good as if he's listening. All right. Gritty snack app doesn't get butts in the seats. Dan, unfortunately, it does not. Provy stinks now. It was a bad play he had in front of the net the other day. I think just everybody sucks, Ben. Let's see here. Luigi. Oh, look at Luigi. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 comments in a row. Does Taryn know the weather? You know what? I don't care if she does. She's great. Very nice, Luigi. People saying hi to Luigi. Allora. What else do we got here? Oh, Benny is saying that Taryn scares him when it comes to the driving stuff. I will say this. She's gotten the most aggressive. Of like the 4 or 5 people we played Fast 5 with so far in recent weeks, she's by far the most aggressive. Definitely. Mark should have done the chat check before the interview. Yes, I should have. Julian, this is what made me laugh earlier. Julian says, I am married, but would be in the market for a second wife if offered. Yeah. You know, I was just watching the Comedians in Cars with Seinfeld. I forget who he had on, but they were talking about having more than one wife. And he's like, every guy talks about having more than one wife. You don't want more than one wife. Like, you don't want that many demands or requests or things to handle. Like, nobody wants that. Wait, did somebody say they were Mormon? Da-da-da. Did somebody? Oh, Julian says, I'm not Mormon either. Okay. All right, I'm reading it. I don't care. Cody says, you got Jim Jackson. Some women can't get enough of the goatee. Jim Jackson's a handsome man. Oh, my God. You're going to scroll past that, Luigi. Matt, Farzy Show live on location from Poland. I would be into it. Here's the thing. I like London. I didn't like right out of the gate just because I felt like it was way too much like New York. And then by the second day, I was out walking around. My wife had a work trip there, and I was like, I'll tag along. It was like 5 years ago. And it was like the second day I was there walking around. I went into a pub, and I was like, let me just grab a couple beers, whatever, walk around London a little toasty. And there was these guys next to me that were just like straight businessmen, like business suits, briefcases, right out of Central Casting. And they were there before I showed up. They had probably 2 more beers than I did in the hour I spent there. And then right before I left, they were about to leave, and I heard them go, all right, let's get back to the office and talk about this. I'm like, go back to the office? These guys have been pounding beers for at least an hour and more than I have, and they're going back to work. And I'm like, now I think I understand London. This is why it's not New York. I get it now. And then like from that point on, it totally changed my opinion of London. And I'm actually going back there in June for my cousin's wedding. My cousin moved over there about 6 years ago. And we actually saw her during that trip, and she has since gotten engaged. So looking forward to seeing my cousin in June 1st. So yeah, you'll see a couple of Farzy Show hits from London. This chat is fire today. No doubt about that, guys. Maybe delete the app. No, I can't delete the app because the app allows you to share with, like in this case, my wife. Hey, just fed Leo, and it also lets you track how much he had, the time he had it, the wet diaper, dirty diaper, lets you make notes. So there's a lot of poo emojis, that go on in the comments. So yeah, that's how we do. So I can't delete it because if I log it, then my wife sees it as well. If she logs it, then I see it and be like, okay, that's the last time Leo ate, which was just before I did that interview. So my kid ain't hungry. What else do we have here? Farzy saying Leo is a good fed. What the hell? I don't know what's happening there. Good talk on the world, Mark. Yeah, there's a reason why I'm not a world news reporter. Farzy hates people from London? Wow. No, love people from London. You know what I did that day? I still am a big Anthony Bourdain fan. And the day that my wife had like meetings all day and I was just like walking around London and roaming around, I watched, before I left, I watched Anthony Bourdain. I think it's The Layover. I think that was the show that he specifically did London. It was one of his shows. And I basically just went everywhere he went in the show. And it was funny. I went to this one place, of course I did, called Bar Italia. And there was all off the plane Italians there working. And I was talking to one of them. They're all from Southern Italy. And they're like, oh, you're American. You probably saw Bourdain. And I went, you got me. And they go, we got a lot of business from that guy. Is he famous? And I was like, what? Yeah, he's famous. Anyone that loves to travel watches Anthony Bourdain. They love Anthony Bourdain. And one of the things was, I was like, yeah, he's like a big foodie in the United States and a writer, chef, everything. He's amazing. And these from Italy Italians look at me and they go, foodie. And I'm like, oh God, how do I explain foodie? Like, how do I explain that phrase? I did my best. It's like someone who really values food and will go anywhere, do anything for food, whatever. Like for food, like we all, like for a special kind of food. That was the best way I could describe it to these people. And they just kind of looked at me like, that's pretty much it. Anyway, back to the Jim Jackson goatee comment. Let's see what else we got here. Did Leo get hungry seeing Taryn? All right. What app does PJ use for babysitting Silsky's kids? That's funny, buddy. That's funny. April, Lord, that's how I know I'm old. We used a notebook. Oh, yeah. Oh, for the kids. Yeah. Josh points out he's no Kevin James, but Bourdain is famous. Yeah, but I use a notebook for just about everything, but when it comes to having to share the information with my missus, it's got to be on the app. Thanks everyone that participated in the chat. You guys are all sick bastards. Appreciate it. I look forward to sending Taryn some of these comments. Let's go into our morning rush today, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. I already told you, Nets Celtics tip off the night, 7:30 on TNT. I like the over on Jason Tatum, 22.5 last I saw. Cavaliers and Pistons also tip off tonight. I like the Cavs to cover. They're going off at 7.5 against the Pistons. -7.5. I like that bet tonight. And then Hawks and Bulls tip off tonight at 8 o'clock in Chicago. Chicago is -4 going into that one. 4-point favorites for that game. And there was one more game I thought I wanted to keep an eye on tonight. Suns and Thunder. Yeah, so best team in the NBA is back in action tonight, 8 o'clock as well. They are 9.5-point favorites over the Thunder. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. You guys are fantastic. Jim Hyder produced the program, did a phenomenal job as per usual. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, James Harden plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. And you know what that means? That means Josh Harris is just out of his gourd.
This is going to be awesome. But now let's do this thing.
Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.